Long before Elara was born, before Silverwood crowns and Shadowland curses, there was silence, the kind that smothered entire worlds. Buried beneath mountain stone, the silence cracked. A heartbeat pulsed, slow, ancient, hungry. Eyes that hadn't opened in 1,000 years flickered with light. Not gold, not silver, something darker. A voice rasped through the cavern, older than the moon herself. They broke the chains, which means I am free. The ground trembled. Wolves in distant forests whimpered, ears pressed flat. Even the moon dimmed as if recoiling. Far away, Elara stirred in her sleep, breath quickening. Her wolf pressed against her chest, restless. And just like that, everything was about to change again. Chapter 1. The bells tolled, soft and silver, echoing through the sacred trees of Silverwood. Elara stood at the center of the marble dais, moonlight drenching her like liquid silver. Every eye in the pack was on her, watching, admiring, worshipping, and yet her chest ached. The chants of the priestesses rose, and incense smoke curled like ghostly fingers through the temple air. The scent of sage and myrrh clung heavy, pressing against her lungs. She lifted her hands, palms glowing faintly as she whispered the ancient words. The crowd gasped, as if she were a miracle given flesh. But inside, she felt like a caged bird singing on command. Daughter of the moon, the high seer intoned, her voice a rasp of age and authority. You are the light that binds us. The prophecy breathes through you. Elara lowered her gaze. She wanted to believe those words. She wanted to be everything they expected. Perfect, pure, destined. Still, beneath the weight of her ceremonial gown and crown of silver leaves, she wanted more. Freedom. A chance to choose her own path, instead of walking the one carved by others. When the ritual ended, the high seer gripped her wrist, nails like talons. The woman leaned close, breath sharp with herbs. The mate chosen for you will not be the one you expect, she whispered, so low no one else could hear. Elara froze. The words slithered into her like a snake, leaving ice behind. She forced a smile for the crowd, bowing with practiced grace, but her heart thundered in her chest. Because of that one whisper, her perfect vision of the future suddenly cracked. That night, Elara lay on her silken bed, staring at the carved moonstones above her. Shadows rippled across the chamber as candles flickered. She closed her eyes, and the dream came again, her awakening. In her vision, a noble alpha with eyes like morning light reached for her. His hand was strong, gentle. His smile promised peace, safety, forever. The bond between them pulsed with warmth, not fire. It felt right. It felt destined. Her lips curved softly as she whispered, "Soon." But then, footsteps. The chamber door creaked and Valerius entered, the noble alpha who had already begun circling her life. His cloak of midnight brushed the floor and his smile was sharp enough to cut. "You shine brighter every day, Elara," he said, voice smooth as velvet. "Purity suits you." The words were meant as a compliment, yet his eyes lingered too long, like a predator studying prey. Elara's throat tightened. She forced a laugh, light and musical. "I only serve the goddess, my lord." Valerius's lips curled. "And soon, you will serve more than her." When he left, the room seemed colder. She rubbed her arms, trying to shake the shiver that wouldn't leave. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was warning. She didn't know what scared her more. By the time the moon climbed high, the entire pack gathered beneath its silver crown. Torches blazed, banners rippled in the wind, and the sacred circle pulsed with lunar light. Elara stepped forward, every detail carved in perfection. Her gown shimmering like starlight, her hair cascading in pale waves, her eyes wide with fear and hope. She felt the hum of power stir in her bones. Her wolf pressed forward, restless, eager. The high seer lifted her staff. "Tonight, Destiny reveals its truth. Elara's pulse raced. She had dreamed of this moment all her life, the bond, the mate, the promise of peace. She held her breath, waiting. The light struck her, blooming across her skin. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The bond was awakening. She was chosen. She was ready. And then a howl split the night, not the noble call of a savior. No, this was wild, harsh, dangerous. The crowd broke into chaos, wolves snapping, guards rushing forward. From the edge of the sacred grove, shadows moved, then a figure emerged. Kael, the outcast, the monster. His eyes glowed crimson under the blood-soaked moonlight, locked on her like a predator claiming prey. Elara's world tilted. Her heart skipped. And just like that, everything changed. Chapter 2. Chaos swallowed the sacred grove. Wolves snarled, guards lunged, voices clashed in panic. Yet beneath the uproar, Elara heard only one sound, his footsteps, heavy, inevitable. Kael moved like a storm given flesh, crimson eyes cutting through the firelight. His presence sucked the air from the circle, and every part of her screamed to run. Still, her body froze. "Outcast!" someone roared. "Stop him!" Steel flashed. Wolves lunged, but Kael tore through them with brutal ease, claws raking, teeth snapping. His growl thundered louder than the drums. Elara's heart pounded. She wanted to cry out, to beg the goddess for correction, for mercy. But then his gaze locked on her. Time stood still. "As if fate demanded it," she whispered, trembling. In the span of a breath, Kael was upon her. His hand gripped her wrist, hot, unyielding. Sparks shot through her veins. The bond roared alive. Her wolf whimpered, torn between terror and recognition. "No," she gasped, but the word strangled. Kael's lips brushed her ear, voice low, dark, final. "Your destiny is now mine." His teeth sank into her neck. Fire exploded beneath her skin. Pain, shock, ecstasy. Gasps echoed through the grove as blood ran down her collar. Elara's scream tore the night. What followed was silence. Stunned, breathless silence. Because of that single act, the prophecy shattered. The guard surged again, but Kael only lifted her, claimed and marked as if she weighed nothing. And just like that, the sacred circle fell to ruin. The world blurred. Trees streaked past. Shadows clawed at her vision. Kael's grip never faltered as he carried her across the border, deeper, darker, farther from home. Her body thrashed. "Let me go! Do you hear me? I'll never be yours!" Kael's laugh was low, humorless. "Say what you will. The bond answers." Her chest ached where his mark burned, a brand she couldn't deny. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't fight the pull, the tether dragging her toward him. "Monster!" she spat, fists beating against him. "You've ruined everything. The goddess, she wouldn't—" "Wouldn't what?" he cut in, voice ablade. "Wouldn't tie you to me? Open your eyes, Chosen. She already has." The Shadowlands loomed ahead. The scent of decay thickened the air, rot and iron, smoke and ash. The silver woods of her childhood faded into gnarled trees that clawed the sky. Soon after, a fortress rose, jagged stone and black iron towers stabbing the heavens. Wolves paced the walls, scarred and savage, their eyes suspicious as Kael strode through the gates with her in his arms. Elara's heart hammered. Her cage of gold had been traded for one of stone. The gate slammed shut, iron groaning like a death knell. And she knew. There was no going back. Stone walls swallowed her, cold and unyielding. The chamber smelled of smoke and leather, nothing like the lavender-scented halls of Silverwood. Kael set her down at last. Her knees buckled, but she forced herself to stand, chin high. "You will train. You will obey. You will survive," he said flatly, eyes glinting in firelight. "I will do none of those things," she shot back, voice sharp despite the tremor in her chest. Kael smirked, cruel and unreadable. "Then you'll die quickly. Your choice." Her wolf bristled, snarling inside her. "I'll never belong here." His gaze softened for a heartbeat, just a heartbeat. Neither did I. The words struck her harder than his grip ever could. Still, she turned away, hiding the flicker of doubt. Moments later, a rogue lunged from the shadows, blade flashing. Elara gasped, too slow to move. But Kael was faster. His body shielded hers, the knife grazing his arm instead. His growl shook the chamber as he flung the attacker against the wall, bones snapping like dry wood. Elara's breath caught. Her pulse raced. She should have felt safe. Instead, she felt trapped. Because of that one choice, to protect her without thinking, Kael cracked her certainty. And now, she didn't know what scared her more, the cage around her, or the bond pulling her closer to the monster who might not be a monster at all. Chapter 3. Morning crept in through slitted windows, pale and gray. Elara sat on the stone bench, arms wrapped tight around herself. Every sound of the fortress unsettled her. The clang of weapons, the snarls of wolves training outside, the muttered voices laced with suspicion. The door creaked open. Kael stepped inside, bandaged arm flexing. His eyes swept over her like she was both prize and threat. "You'll eat," he ordered, setting a plate of roasted meat and dark bread on the table. Elara lifted her chin. "You think food will make me obey?" Kael leaned close, voice edged with steel. "No, I think food will keep you alive. And whether you like it or not, survival is the first law here." Her throat tightened, but she wouldn't let him see weakness. In Silverwood, survival meant devotion to the goddess. Here, it looks like blood and fear. Kael's smirk faded. Silverwood never wanted me to survive at all. The weight of his words hit her, heavy as stone. She wanted to ask, but pride kept her tongue still. Before silence could thicken, a horn blared outside, deep and grim. Kael's expression hardened. "Stay here. Do not move." And with that, he was gone. Elara's fingers curled into her gown. Already the fortress pressed in tighter, darker. She whispered to herself, trembling, "I won't break. I won't." But the bond between them pulsed, burning, relentless, and deep down she feared she already had. The courtyard blazed with torches when Kael dragged her out later. The rogues circled like wolves scenting blood, eyes glowing in the firelight. "This is madness," Elara hissed, struggling in his grip. Kael released her, stepping back. "If you're to stay here, you prove yourself, or they'll rip you apart." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A scarred rogue spat on the ground. "She's a chosen, weak, soft. She won't last a breath." Elara's heart raced, but her wolf surged, snarling within. She straightened, fire catching in her eyes. "Try me." The rogue lunged, claws slashing. Instinct took over. Elara ducked, rolled, grabbed a fallen staff. The weight felt strange, yet right in her hands. Every strike, every dodge was survival painted in sweat and blood. The crowd roared, some jeering, some awed. Kael watched, unreadable, though his fists clenched at his sides. At last, Elara's staff cracked against the rogue's jaw, sending him sprawling. She stood, chest heaving, hair wild, lips curled in defiance. "Still think I won't last?" she spat, voice shaking with fury. The rogues fell silent. Kael stepped forward, eyes gleaming with something fierce. Not pride, not quite, but something close. "Good," he growled. "Now they'll think twice before touching you." Elara met his gaze, chest still rising hard. "I didn't fight for you." His smirk curved, sharp as a blade. "No, you fought because you want to live." And though she hated him, some part of her knew he was right. Night deepened, heavy with smoke and whispers. Elara lay restless in her chamber, Kael's words echoing like a curse. "You want to live." Her wolf paced inside her, unsettled. The mark on her neck burned whenever she thought of him. His touch, his shield, his silence. A sound stirred outside. She slipped from bed, pressing to the cold stone window. Below, Kael stood alone in the courtyard, shirt discarded, sweat slick on his skin as he trained. His strikes were violent, merciless, yet every movement carried a strange elegance, like pain turned into ritual. She watched longer than she should. Then, he stopped. His head lifted, eyes meeting hers through the shadows. Heat rushed to her cheeks. She stumbled back, heart pounding, but his voice carried, low and certain. "You can't hide from the bond, Elara." Her hands trembled on the window frame. "I don't want it. I never asked for this." His gaze burned through the dark. "Neither did I." The words struck her chest, splitting something fragile inside, and for the first time, she wondered if fate had cursed them both. Chapter 4. Snow drifted across the Shadowlands, painting the ruined forest in ghostly white. Elara crouched beside Kael, pressing her hand against the gash along his ribs. His blood spilled hot, staining the snow crimson. "Hold still," she whispered, breath clouding in the cold air. Kael gritted his teeth. "It's just a scratch." She glared at him. A scratch doesn't gush like a river. Her power stirred, warm, silver light trembling at her fingertips. She hesitated. Healing him meant touching the bond, letting it flow through her. Kael caught her wrist, his grip iron despite his wound. "Don't." Her eyes snapped to his. "If I don't, you'll bleed out." Something raw flickered across his face. Fear, not of dying, but of being seen. "You don't know what it'll cost you." Elara's chest tightened. She remembered the whispers of his cursed bloodline, the way rogues bowed yet feared him. She pressed harder, ignoring his warning. Silver light surged, weaving into torn flesh. Kael hissed, body jerking as the wound closed beneath her palm. For a heartbeat, she felt his pain as if it were her own. His loneliness, his rage, the chains of betrayal that bound him. When it was over, she pulled away, trembling. Kael's gaze locked on hers, pupils blown wide. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" Her throat ached, but the answer came unbidden. "Because despite everything, I don't think you're the monster you want me to believe." The air between them pulsed with something dangerous, and for the first time, Kael looked away first. The fortress was restless that night. Rogues muttered rebellion, emboldened by Kael's weakness. Elara walked the halls, their eyes following her with suspicion. She felt it, their doubt, their hunger for blood. The council chamber doors slammed open. Kael strode in, cloak sweeping the floor, his voice a whip. "Anyone who questions her place here will answer to me." The rogues snarled back. "She's soft. She'll doom us." Kael's power cracked through the air, alpha command shaking the stone walls. "She is mine. My mark binds her. That makes her untouchable." Elara froze at his side. His claim seared through her, a chain and shield all at once. When the rogues finally dispersed, Kael's shoulders sagged, exhaustion breaking through the mask. Elara reached for him, then stopped, fingers hovering. "You hate them thinking I belong to you," he rasped. "But it's the only way to keep you alive." Her heart pounded. "You keep saying you're protecting me. From what, Kael? From them? From yourself?" His silence was heavier than steel. Finally, he whispered, "From the ones who cursed me. From the ones who will use you like they used my bloodline. I couldn't let them touch you, so I made you untouchable." Elara's breath caught. For weeks, she had seen only cruelty. But now, the truth cracked his armor. His brutality had been a wall, built to keep her safe. Her voice broke. "Then why not tell me?" Kael's eyes burned, pained and furious. "Because if you knew, you'd never stop fighting me. And I need you alive more than I need you to forgive me." The confession shattered her. The moon hung high, silver and merciless. Elara stood on the balcony, Kael behind her, shadows clinging to his frame. "You've ruined everything," she whispered. "My destiny, my bond, my belief in what it meant to be chosen." Kael's jaw tightened. I know. Silence stretched between them, taut and unbearable. Elara turned, fire burning in her eyes. But if what you say is true, if Valerius and the purists want my power, then I can't keep hiding behind your lies. I need to fight. His expression darkened. Fight, and they'll destroy you. She stepped closer, defiance sharp as a blade. Then stand with me, not as my captor, not as my shield, as my equal. Kael's breath caught. For a heartbeat, the ruthless alpha faltered. Elara. His voice was rough, unsteady. I don't know how to be equal to anyone. Her hand trembled as she reached for his. Then learn, with me. The bond flared between them, silver and crimson threads intertwining, tugging tighter. Kael's curse groaned beneath it, cracks forming in chains that had bound him for years. For the first time, he didn't fight it. He bowed his head, forehead brushing hers, voice raw. Then we fight together. Elara closed her eyes, heart racing. Their fate was no longer prophecy's design. It was their choice, and choice was far more dangerous than destiny. Chapter 5. The fortress shook under the roar of horns. From the battlements, Elara saw them coming, an army of silver-clad purists, their banners bearing the sigil of Valerius. Their magic crackled in the night like stormfire. Kael stood beside her, every inch the alpha outcast, cloak billowing, eyes burning gold. His rogues waited behind him, blades drawn, snarls vibrating in the air. They'll come for me, Elara said, voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. I'm the weapon they want. Kael's jaw clenched. Then they'll have to cut through me first. Her heart stuttered, but she didn't argue. Instead, she raised her hands. Silver light shimmered across her skin, the moon's gift burning brighter than ever before. The rogues gasped, no longer doubting what she was. The first wave hit. Arrows hissed through the air. Elara spun threads of light into a barrier, deflecting steel. Kael leapt from the wall, shifting midair, a massive black wolf colliding with the front lines. His snarl split the night, feral and commanding. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Steel clashed, magic seared. Elara moved among the rogues, healing, shielding, striking with threads of moonlight that burned like fire against Valerius's soldiers. Every strike drew her closer to exhaustion, but she held. Because Kael was holding. Deep in the melee, Kael ripped through enemies like a storm. But then it hit him. The curse. His body convulsed mid-shift, black veins crawling beneath his skin, golden eyes flickering to blood red. His howl shook the earth. No longer wolf, no longer man. Something monstrous clawing to escape. Elara felt it like a knife in her bond. Her chest seized. She sprinted toward him, dodging blades, her breath ragged. Kael fell to his knees, claws gouging stone, teeth bared as shadows writhed around him. Rogues backed away in terror. Valerius's voice boomed across the battlefield. Behold your Alpha, the beast I made him, bound to darkness, doomed to devour all he touches. Kael's head snapped up, agony twisting his face. Elara, stay back! But she didn't. She dropped to her knees before him, hands on either side of his face, forcing him to see her. You are not his monster, she cried. You are mine. You are Kael. The curse writhed, trying to consume him, but the bond flared, silver and crimson light clashing with the shadows. Elara poured everything she had into him, her power, her trust, her choice. Fight with me, she whispered. Not for fate, for us. Kael roared, the sound splitting sky and stone. The shadows shattered, exploding outward in a storm of dark fire. When the light cleared, he stood, bloody, scarred, trembling, but himself, and for the first time, unchained. Valerius strode forward, silver flames wreathing his form, his sneer twisted. Touching. But your bond will die with you. Elara stepped in front of Kael, moonlight blazing through her veins, brighter than ever before. She felt the prophecy pressing down. Moons chosen meant to die. Sacrifice meant to end the curse. But choice burned hotter. "No," she whispered, voice steady. "I will not be your sacrifice. I choose my own fate." Valerius laughed, raising his hands. But Kael was faster. He lunged, claws ripping through silver fire, fury unleashed. Together, Elara's light and Kael's shadow struck as one, colliding with Valerius in a blinding explosion. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was silent. Valerius lay broken, his flames extinguished. The rogues raised their voices in a howl of triumph, but Elara barely heard them. She was on her knees beside Kael, who was barely breathing, blood soaking his chest. "No," she whispered, tears streaking her face. "Don't you dare." His eyes fluttered open, weak but burning gold. "You gave me a reason to fight." Her hands shook as she pressed against the wound, silver light spilling desperately from her. "Stay with me, please." The bond pulsed, flared, and held. His breathing steadied. His hand rose, rough and trembling, to cradle her cheek. "You didn't save me," he rasped. "You chose me." Elara's tears fell onto his skin. Always. The battlefield lay in ruins, dawn breaking across the bloodied snow. Survivors gathered, rogues kneeling before Kael, not as cursed, but as alpha. Elara stood beside him, weary but unbroken, her hand in his. For the first time, she felt no chain of prophecy around her throat. Only freedom. Kael turned to her, voice low but certain. "The moon bound us in chains, but we broke them, together." Her lips trembled into a smile. "Not destiny, choice." He pulled her closer, forehead to forehead, their bond thrumming steady and strong. And as the sun rose, Elara knew this wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a kingdom born not from prophecy, but from two broken souls who chose each other in defiance of gods and fate. Epilogue. The war was over. Silverwood and Shadowlands no longer stood divided, though the ground still bore scars of fire and blood. Elara stood on the cliff's edge, the sea crashing below, wind tugging at her hair. The moon hung heavy above her, softer now, no longer cruel but watchful. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Freedom tasted like salt and dawn. Behind her, Kael's arms slipped around her waist, steady, grounding. His warmth chased away the chill. For the first time, she felt him at peace, no shadows gnawing beneath his skin, no curse whispering his end. "We made it," he murmured against her temple. She leaned into him, smiling faintly. "We chose it." Yet, even in the quiet, something lingered. The High Seer's words replayed in her mind like a warning she couldn't shake. "The mate chosen for you will not be the one you expect. But beware, Elara. The moon never gives without taking." Her chest tightened, though she said nothing. She had learned that prophecy was never what it seemed. Down in the valley, the rogues howled, celebrating their dawn. But far in the distance, beyond mountain and sea, another sound stirred, low, haunting, carried on the wind. A howl not of wolf or man, but something older, something forgotten. Elara shivered. Kael felt it too. His grip tightened slightly. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Kael's golden eyes flicked toward the horizon, hard and sharp. "Yes." For a long moment, they stood in silence beneath the moon. Their bond thrummed steady, strong, unbroken. But as the night stretched, one truth coiled in Elara's heart. The war had ended. But the story was far from over.